It was just 3 days before Christmas. In a small neighborhood on the edge of Lagos, the Adami family was getting ready for their annual trip to the village. But this year, something felt different. And sometimes, small feelings hide great disasters. The house was full of laughter. The kids were running from room to room, the suitcases were overflowing, and the whole place buzzed with excitement. But in the middle of it all, one woman sat quietly praying. Narrator, Ronk, the mother, was folding her children's clothes, but her eyes kept drifting to the window. She had a strange feeling this time, heavier than any other year. Ronk whispering, "God, why does my heart feel so heavy?" Her husband, Yemi, sat on the couch, enjoying an old radio show, a smile playing on his lips. He didn't notice the weight in his wife's silence. Ronk, softly, "Yemi, maybe we shouldn't travel this year. I don't know why, but something feels wrong." Yemi grinning, "Ronk, you say that every year. It's just nerves. The road is clear. The car is ready. What could possibly go wrong, narrator?" But Ronk couldn't shake the image from her dream. A river rising, a bridge collapsing. That evening, as Yemi drove home from work, he saw an old woman by the roadside. She was waving gently, leaning on a thin stick. "Old woman, my son, can you take me to the next street, please?" Yemi nodded and let her in. Old woman in a soft voice, "You're traveling soon, aren't you? To the village? With your family?" Yemi turned to her, surprised. There was no way she could have known. Yemi, "Well, yeah. How did you know that, old woman? This year, don't go unless you fast and pray first. You must pray for your children, your wife, and yourself. There is danger ahead." Narrator, Yemi let out a loud, amused laugh. Yemi mocking, "Thank you, Mama. But God already knows I'm traveling. I don't need to remind him." The woman said nothing more. But as she got out of the car, she looked back at him one last time. "Old woman, remember what I said. If you must go, pray and fast." Yemi shook his head and drove off, smiling. But in the rearview mirror, the old woman still stood there, watching. The next morning, Ronk gathered the children in the living room. She wanted to pray before the journey, but one person was missing. Yemi. "Ronk, just a minute, Yemi. Can't we say a short prayer before we leave?" Yemi, impatient. "Ronk, prayer won't start the engine. If we're late, we'll miss the bus." Narrator. She said nothing, but her heart whispered, "Let my faith wrap around them like armor." The journey began. The bus rolled through the chilly morning. The kids pressed their faces to the window, watching the trees blur past. Yemi was distracted by a football match on his phone, but Rongshi sat quietly, watching the clouds gather. Narrator. She could feel it. Something was coming. Something waiting on the road ahead. Rain. Sudden and fierce. The sky turned black. Ahead, an old wooden bridge loomed through the mist. Ronk to the driver, "Please, slow down. That bridge doesn't look safe." But it was too late. A crack, a scream, and then ... silence. Yemi opened his eyes in a hospital room. To his left trunk, to his right a nurse, but no sound of children. "Doctor, gently. 2 of your children were swept away. Only 1 was found." Narrator. In that moment, Yemi's pride shattered. Tears fell, but not just from his eyes, from somewhere deeper. Yemi trembling. "God, why didn't I listen?" Ronk took his hand. There was no anger in her eyes, only a deep, silent ache. "Ronk, sometimes the loudest warning is a whisper, and you chose not to hear it." Narrator. Journeys don't begin on the road. They begin in the heart. And sometimes The road we travel teaches us to pray, even if it's too late to turn back. This was EchoTales, and this wasn't just a story, it was a warning. Subscribe for more. We'll meet again in the next echo.